everybody, and welcome to my review of Beauty and the Beast. The animated one. Sorry, I could not resist doing that. Okay, so Beauty and the Beast, the original animated movie. Now, this review was requested by Harry Thomas. I mean, I was going to review this movie anyway in light of the remake coming out, the live-action remake of this movie coming out soon. But seeing as Harry Thomas requested me to do this review, the review is dedicated to him. So, Harry, this is for you, and thank you for the request. So, Beauty and the Beast. This is actually the first film I'm reviewing from Disney that is of the old hand-drawn animated movies. At least to my knowledge, I don't think I have reviewed any of the original hand-drawn Disney animated movies. That is going to change very soon. I want to try and review more of them. But as it stands, I thought it's better to start with Beauty and the Beast because the remake is going to be out, I think, in about just under a couple of weeks. So, Beauty and the Beast. The story of Beauty and the Beast is that basically it centers around this young girl named Belle. Well, actually, let's start with the backstory. It starts out basically with this prologue about this prince, how he became very selfish and vain, and as penance for his actions, he was transformed into a beast. And and then the prophecy goes, if he could find a girl to love, and if he learnt to love as well, if he learnt to love a girl and she loved him in return, the spell would be broken and he would transform back into a man. But our main protagonist is Belle, the young girl who lives in the village. Her father's an inventor and she's a fantasist. By that I mean she is immersed in literature and stories, and yeah, and they all think she's a bit peculiar, to say the least. However, one man named Gaston is trying to win her affections. However, she is not having any of that, so he resorts to extreme measures to try and win her hand. Her father ventures out to a science fair as he's an inventor, and then he gets attacked by wolves, and then he ends up in the abandoned castle where the beast lives, and the beast catches him and throws him in prison. Belle goes to find her father, and then decides, when she comes into the castle, decides to take his place. And then the beast lets her father go, and she has been forcibly imprisoned in the castle forever, or so he says anyway. So, and then Maurice returns to the village, and tells everybody about the beast, and they all think he's crazy. And then Gaston hatches a plan to basically throw Maurice into the mental asylum if Belle does not marry if Belle does not marry him. Meanwhile, Belle has to stay in the castle, and she and the beast begin to they don't start out on a very good patch. And then she tries to run away, but he saves her life. And then they grow and fall in love. But then she has to get back to her father, and then he feels really down and depressed, and then she shows everybody the beast, and then they go to attack the castle, and then Belle and the beast have to sort of reunite, and she has to basically, it all has to lead to her admitting she loves him, which of course she does. So yeah, that's basically the plot of Beauty and the Beast. It's not as complicated as it sounds. It really isn't. Beauty and the Beast. This is a wonderful film. I adore this movie. I think it's fantastic. It's, every ounce of heart that you could have has been placed into this movie. And it's just fantastic. I mean, it's one of the I think it's, as far as I know, one of the early sort of hand-drawn animation films to be nominated for Best Picture. And that was really quite an achievement, so it just goes to show how much they put into it. It's a wonderful movie. The story is superb, really is, because it teaches everybody a lesson. I mean, this is made for obviously kids and families, so it teaches people to not be selfish and vain and to love others before oneself, and in doing so, how people can also find beauty from within. It's not what's on the outside, but what's on the inside that counts. And I think that's something that's very lovely about Belle's character, is that she sees that in the Beast. She's like, inside, he's a good person. He was just damaged, and he's a bit, he's not, his manners aren't up to standard, and she recognizes that, and she tries to help him. Um, and they have a very interesting relationship. I love their love story. It's very sweet, and it's kind of it's unorthodox. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, because he doesn't look like a strapping young human being. Well, at least not at the beginning. And she doesn't care about that. She tries to change his attitude. She doesn't try to change him. She just tries to change his attitude, because he's very aggressive. And she manages to win his affections, and he manages to see that she's special. And their love story is very sweet. You have a wonderful set of characters in this movie. First of all, Belle, the protagonist, she is utterly charming. I know she's an animated character, but the actress plays her with such charm and passion. She's a fantasist. She's a bit doolally, according to the people in the village. But she's a person of pure kindness and pure heart, and I'm very interested to see how Emma Watson portrays her in the remake, which is yet to be seen. I'm going to see that probably at some point in the next week or two, so I will review that one as well. Yeah, so Belle's very good, and the Beast himself is really the most interesting character, and he's almost a tragic character. Like, he's very, at first, obviously, he's very aggressive and selfish and self-doubting, and he doesn't believe that this prophecy will ever be fulfilled, but he's surprised by her, and she really amazes him, and it's not something he's ever really gotten used to. I mean, and he you can see the transformation happens before the physical transformation at the very end. His transformation is something that happens throughout the entire movie. I think that's what people forget, is that he doesn't transform at the end. He does physically, but I think his persona and his emotional stability transforms as the narrative progresses, as he begins to fall in love, which is utterly charming. It's really sweet and charming and superbly done. The other characters you have, the side characters, you have Lumiere, the candlelight, the candle, Lumiere, the candlelight. He's very funny and charming and witty, and the French, be our guest. He's utterly compelling to watch. And Ewan McGregor's going to play him in the remake, so I wonder how that's going to stack up. You have Cogsworth as well. He's the most sensible of them. He's the one who's trying not to, push the Beast's temper so much, but he warms as the story goes on, so he's very good. You have Mrs. Potts, who is voiced by Angela Lansbury. She is great. She's like classic London. Like this, like proper tea party, like old governor. Kind of Cockney London, but it actually works really well. She gives a very astute performance. She's very assertive. She plays quite a nice role. She's almost mothering the Beast in a way, and that's very funny. See, and her little son Chip, he's adorable. He's adorable, really. All the girls will love him. He's just cute. He's just so cute, and the way he contributes in the end by saving Belle and Maurice from their own cellar when Gaston throws them in the cellar. That's very, very nice and very noble. The other characters to mention really are the villains. Gaston, he's interesting. He's basically this big, buff, beefy, macho man. He's like this hunter, and for some reason, he has the hots for Belle, and he wants her to be his wife. But he doesn't actually really care about her. He still thinks that she's a bit odd, but he kind of likes her. He kind of has the hots for her, but for whatever reason. And his journey is interesting. He's not necessarily sinister, but he's more brute force, and that's what I think is very interesting compared to some of the other villains like Jafar or Scar, where they were both very sinister. This guy is just brute force, and he will stop at nothing to get what he wants. And the voice actor does a good job as well. And you have his henchman called LeFou. LeFou, who's basically the comic goofball of this story. He doesn't do as much as some of the other characters, but he's quite funny nonetheless. And yeah, so that's the characters, or at least the main body of characters. I think another thing worth to talk about is the music. The music for this movie is fantastic. I mean, I'm not just talking about the songs. The music score is really good as well by Alan Menken. It's got that lovely the opening sort of theme, the dun 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 dun, like the piano medley. You hear it in the trailer for the new one as well. So that's brilliant. And the songs are just phenomenal. I love the songs. The Bell song is great, even though it's arguably a little bit long, but I still like it very much. You have the Gaston song, which is fantastic. It's great. Be Our Guest, which is probably the most iconic of this story. What was the other one? There may be something there that wasn't there before, when they're sort of the love song, which is great, and obviously Taylor's Old as Time, classic. Everybody knows that song. You know, Taylor's Old as Time, song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast. Like, we all know that one. And I can't remember any more. I think that's good. I think that's all of them. But yeah, no, the music's wonderful, and it's just fun as well. It's a fun film. It's a very feel-good film. You can have fun watching it. I think younger kids can really like the story. It's just a classic fairy tale. It's what Disney do really well. They make some great fairy tales. The animation is also fantastic as well for the time. For 1991, I believe that was when this movie was released. It's just wonderful. Like, it's wonderful to look at. It's so brilliantly designed. There's some minor CGI work in the Taylor's Oldest Time scene when they're dancing in the ballroom. That's a lovely scene. And the background there are hints of sort of blocky CGI. I mean, obviously for the time it was revolutionary, and it looks great. But obviously now it's dated. But I mean, it's noticeable really, because most of the film is just drawings and moving pictures, animation. The process of animation, it takes so long. I've been learning about this animation, and it's no ball game. And the fact that they got to the effort that they did is commendable. The animation's just flawless. I love it. It's great. What can I say? I really like the climax of this movie. The final battle when they attack the castle, and then Gaston fights the beast on the top of the castle. That's really good, and it's really emotional as well. When and then Belle finally obviously confesses her love for him, and it's really sweet. It's a really sweet relationship, and you really feel that he's finally redeemed himself. That's ultimately what this story is about. It's about his redemption, and it's brilliantly done. Really brilliantly done. The direction is very good. Who directed this movie? It doesn't say on the back of the DVD. But the direction is very good as well by whoever directed this movie. I'm sorry, I can't remember the names, but you'll see in the description. Do I have any criticisms? Well, like I said, it's, arguably you could say maybe the opening number's a bit long. I think it takes a while before they start to actually develop the love story. Like, this is just a nitpick, really. Like, maybe they spend too long on Belle and the Beast sort of going at each other's throats. I can't even speak. I'm sorry. But again, this is a nitpick because the film is perfect. It's just perfect. So charming. Oh yeah, also you've got that really cute little footstool dog character. That was funny. The comedy as well is very charming. It's very kid friendly. It's a very appealing kids film. Maybe there are a couple of sequences which are a little bit unnecessarily dark, but again, those are nitpicks. And also that guy, businessman that Gaston and LeFou talked to about locking up Maurice, like the businessman, the mental asylum. He doesn't really do anything. He's just there in the one scene, and like he just kind of, and he's there for the next bit, and then he walks off. And also another song I forgot to mention was the Kill the Beast" song, which is probably my least favorite song, but it's still good. But again, this is a classic movie, and I love the story. I really love it. It's timeless. You can go back to it. It teaches you so many lessons, and it's just done so right. There's a lot right with this movie. Like, the flaws are only minor. And it's definitely got me excited to see the remake. I wasn't really... I mean, I'm not really that fond of the live-action remakes of all these Disney movies. I mean, I reviewed the Cinderella one, which came out a couple of years ago, which was good enough. We've got more coming. The 101 Dalmatians one from 1996 is a film that I really want to review one day. I have a lot of fondness for that movie. As for this animated version of Beauty and the Beast, the only other thing I could say, my biggest problem with it, is that there's a kind of a disassociation with it, in that the characters, the actors, or most of them have American accents, which is understandable because most of them are probably from America. But the film is set primarily in France, so it would have been nice to kind of maintain a consistency of the world of the film. This is just a nitpick. This is just me. Like, I can accept the fact that they have American accents, but it would have been better to just kind of refine it for me. If I was directing it, I would have done it that way. Of course, Lumiere has a French accent, and he has to be French for obvious reasons, given the name. And obviously, Cogsworth is British, you know. So that's very good. But other than that, I love this film. I think it's really great. It's not the best original Disney film that they've ever made, but it's very, very good. So I'm going to give this movie... Screw it. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. I have literally nitpicks. The biggest flaw is the one with the accents, but other than that, it's fine. So, yeah, that's my review of the animated Beauty and the Beast. Tune in next time when I review the live-action remake 2017, which stars Emma Watson. I'm probably mainly going to see the movie just because of Emma Watson, but fuck it. I love the story, so I'm interested to see how the live-action version compares. I don't think it will be as good, but it's definitely going to be something worth seeing, so I'm excited for that. So that's pretty much it, guys, for my review. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Put your comments down below. Let me know. Are you excited for the remake? And thanks again for Harry Thomas for requesting this review. This review was for you. So, thank you guys all for watching. And as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.